What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we break down all the tips, tricks, and mindset shifts that you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, we're talking with another powerhouse who's leading the way in, African American studies, African American progression, and also is a champion in the LGBTQ community. And just making sure that everybody is on the same page as far as research over me search. I've been following this gentleman for quite a while, and it just amazes me that a lot of the things that he talks about in his content has to be explained. It seems like just basic empathy, basic common sense, or what should be common sense. But I'm so glad that we have Consciously on the podcast today. Let me give you a little background on Consciously, right? I have something prepared here. Social media sensation Consciously isn't your typical educator. With over 2 million followers on social media and being named a YouTube Black Voice Creator, class of 2022, the Consciously is an intellectual debating, hip hop dancing, thought provoking, and workshop facilitating keynote speaker that proves that Black intellectuals do not have to play respectability politics to deliver a message that resonates. He has over 10 years in experience in education and over 5 years experience in consulting. Mr. Lee is currently the director of policy debate at the University of Oklahoma, where he's also a professor. Lee holds a bachelor's degree in African American studies and a master's degree in both human relations and adult higher education. He also holds graduate certificates in women's and gendered studies, along with human resource and diversity development from the University of Oklahoma. Consciously is on the content advisory board for fan-based social media app and has been featured in Forbes, Insider, Essence, Yahoo, and the Black Wall Street. My man is here live and direct. How you feeling today, Consciously? It's so good to have you.
Feeling good, feeling real good.
You should be with a list of accolades like that. You
Hey,
should be
appreciate it.
feeling good.
I feel like I should send you a short version or something, just read the first paragraph. It's it.
All right. It's all good. It's all good. Let's dive in. So, I was able to, list some of the very impressive things that you've been able to do in your time, but I want to give you the opportunity to kind of put your own flavor on it and tell us how you got started, where you are now, and where you headed.
Man, I got started in the classroom. Specifically, I got started doing college debate. I was a college policy debater. I walked onto the college policy debate team at the University of Oklahoma when I was a freshman. Was finally able to compete when I was a sophomore, and it's really where I fell in love with education and where I feel like my humble beginnings kind of start. So I started to put it out in place and out in space. I've always loved education. I have a master's degrees. I have experience in the classroom. I literally just got done teaching today about dog whistles and freedom of expression and censorship. But for me, man, it's really education is elevation. And when you hear my voice and when you see my face, it's about, can I give you a upper division college course where you ain't got to do no SAT, no ACT, no enrollment. All you gotta do is just plug in. Intersectionality is the game. You feel me? I always try to think about it in terms of race, class, gender, ability, sexuality, and how they tie together. How it is working with me. I'm pretty much a straightforward guy. I think I lean in with empathy. I think that I feel like something you said really made me, I feel like I think it's gonna inspire me to do a video after I'm done doing this work, but after I'm doing this talk, because every day I get new followers. And because I talk about so much different shit, sometimes I have people that follow me because I gave a sensational, phenomenal analysis about race and racism. You feel me? But they don't want to hear what I gotta say about trans homonegativity or what I want to say about patriarchy. And what I recognize is that because I'm leaning in with empathy, a lot of people don't really see my message and how I do what I do, because it's like, hey, I'm a cisgender Black man from the hood of Bryan, Texas, but I'm gonna lean forward and being inclusive as much as I can. And I think that, you know what I'm saying, that empathy piece, that's something I'm processing that. So that's why my response is a little jumbled, because really, it was simple. You feel what you said? It was so simple that made me really think about, like, damn, it's really that simple what I be doing. That why y'all trying to play me? Because I made a video about the white swimmer that got away with rape, Brock. and I made a video about the white, you know what I'm saying, trans woman, you feel me, live. And talking about, you feel me, how one led to legislation and how one was, you know what I'm saying, the same one that led to more legislation is the same one that I believe society is more, you know what I'm saying, outraged about. And what I seen, a lot of people that look like you and I was like, damn, nigga, you be stretching. You feel me? Damn, you be da-da-da-da-da-da. And what it is, you know, and I end this rant with empathy. Like, I just think a lot about empathy. And when I do my teachings, you know, when I do my videos, I'm really doing it with compassion, love, and empathy. And it's just, I'm very straightforward and unapologetic with how I get down, what I get down with, in terms of what my principles are, in terms of where my boundaries is. And I just realized that it's really just, it's fueled by empathy and love. And some people don't have empathy and love for certain shit that I do. And as a result, they'll make different facetious, you know.
Right. You be going off. Snap, brother. Snap. We love it. We love it. You know, what I'm picking up on right now, bro, is that the way you show up, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but you really give Black people permission to be themselves, because a lot of us struggle with code switching, and we feel like, I was actually just having a conversation yesterday about how we don't feel like we belong because we don't have the right vocabulary words or the right diction, or, you know, all of these different things. But you're able to show up in a space where, you know, I talk like this. I talk how I talk, and I have a vocabulary, and I'm intelligent, and I'm worth listening to. So I'm really appreciating that right here in the moment, bro, because it's going to give so many people permission to be smart and still be Black and still be culturally relevant. Another thing that I really appreciate about you, bro, is that being, you know, cisgender and heterosexual, being a champion for those that are different, and leading with empathy and showing that this is love, and this is what love looks like, right? Is inclusion, not separation, right? Is tremendous, because I think a lot of us are held back by our own biases, right? We're put in a box, a prison of our own creation, saying that, oh no, this is love, this is okay, that is not, you know, and really what we're resisting is just humans being expressive, being themselves, you know, the right to having an identity. And there are so many overlaps, even though people will get triggered. But I remember some time ago, somebody said gay is the new Black. Now that might be a controversial, you know, statement for sure, you know. I get what they were trying to say, but it's not, I don't know if it's not the same thing. It's definitely not the same thing. But there are definitely overlaps. There's definitely things that
1,000%.
are congruent, right? So the way, one thing that is coming to the top of the mind right now is how cis men treat homosexuals and women right now is the same way that white people treat Black people, right?
Yeah.
And we're just as blind to that fact, you know, as white people are to the struggles of Black people. That's definitely come up in your conversations, right?
All the time, because what I know is that power breeds privilege, and power usually breeds ignorance. You feel me? And when there's power and privilege, you see a whole bunch of ignorance. And what I recognize is that when it comes to how we feel like power supposed to go, we've been indoctrinated, you feel me, in many different instances for how we understand how to exert our personhood. So for how I'm able to make those analyses is thinking about intersectionality and thinking about how white women, you feel me, cisgender straight white women and cisgender straight Black men kind of occupy, you feel me, similar space. I still would put white women above us, you feel me, but recognizing that we are oppressed oppressors in the way that we're able to, you know, I acknowledge white women are oppressed by patriarchy and sexism, feel me? But I also recognize they're privileged and in many instances insulated, you feel me, due to white supremacy and anti-Blackness. I know as a Black man, as a cisgender straight Black man, I know that I am, you feel me, you know, positioned by white supremacy and anti-Blackness. I also know I am positioned and privileged by masculinity, you feel me, and you know what I'm saying, by, you know, by manhood, quote unquote. Now we can get more into the analysis, me being Black in terms of that masculinity, me being Black in terms of that manhood, you know what I mean? I'm open to that conversation, but I recognize the reflexiveness or you know what, how they reciprocate it, damn near in some instances. So what I say is that gay Black people exist, obviously, you know, so that's the reason why we don't want to say that being black is like being gay because they're racist, important part of our community. Second, we can make the analysis about how power operates and how the hubris of thinking and how you exclude people and how you value people is the same logic of how white people view black people. It's the same logic that a lot of my counterpart in terms of black heterosexual straight males, black cisgender males, I'm saying, I said double that. But it's like, shit, you do that though. The same, like you or we are taught that we gonna prove our manhood and that we a real nigga by dominating women and by dominating, you feel me, gay men, or by dominating non-normative, you know what I'm saying, people type shit. And we know that white supremacy operates from the same logic. We're gonna prove our humanity by dominating and negating things that we think that are outside of our humanity, i.e. non-white people. So that's why, that's how that makes sense though. But I know usually people try to play like, don't say that, it's like, nah, nigga, I ain't saying that. So put that sticker point back in your pocket. Put that back up. We don't need it.
Yes, indeed. And you be out here, you know, on social media eating people food, bro. And I want to know, like, because you know, when from my perspective, right, the way I consume your content, a lot of what you said, like I said before, it's common sense, bro. It's common empathy. Like, it's not hard for me to see exactly what you're saying. I don't need to, you know, dive into a million different articles to understand what you're saying. Just like what you said. Matter of fact, the last post I just commented on, right? You was talking about how Donald Trump Jr. had posted about the Will Smith incident and saying, "Oh, what had all this privilege? He just went up there, you know, slapped the shit out of Chris Rock, and nothing happened. Oh, looks like white privilege is a myth. Easily debunked, right? Easily debunked. Yo, my comment is, you know, isn't your father the one that said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Ave and not get arrested? Easily debunked. So my question to you, bro, is like, what would you say is the most controversial thing that you've had to explain at like a children's reading level to people, right? About just basic love and empathy for other people.
Man, I really feel like I feel like it's damn near a tie for me between white privilege and it being more than two genders.
Mm.
I would have to really sit here and think, you feel me, like, you know what I mean? Be real with you though, I really think that I'm being fully for it. I probably think that it has to do something with sexuality and gender. Because what I know is that when it comes to race, it's very rigid in terms of how people believe and think. You know what I mean? You know, black history, white privilege, systemic racism, whatever. When it comes to it being more than two genders, or when it comes to, you know, what it means for women to be able to, you know, perform their sexuality and you not, you know what I'm saying, look at them crazy. I find that regardless of what your race is, goddamn shit, the pro-black people, or some pro-black people and some conservatives, they might not agree with nothing I can say about race, but they agree that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to gender. So when it comes to this explaining something at a very elementary level, it's like shit. It's probably like the idea that it's more than two genders and being able to acknowledge intersex people how they exist naturally. That's probably the hardest thing I've had to explain. Like, goddamn, are you a millennial? I'm a millennial too. Do you remember growing up them calling Sierra hermaphrodite? Well, let me tell you something. That is now a slur. We should refer to them as being intersex. You recognize the mere acknowledgement of that loop, that right there shows you there's more than two genders, right? Man, but we shouldn't do deformities and abnormalities, and niggas start talking about all type of shit. Or, you feel me? I'm talking about like just the existence of transness and both homophobe, both white supremacists, you feel me, and some pro-black people would be like, but listen, no, trans women is just niggas in dresses. It's like, no, it's not. It's like, to me, those are things I probably would see. You feel me? Being the worst. And then systemic racism. I find like systemic racism. So actually, it's systemic racism and then like gender and systemic. Because systemic racism, I find even certain black people in the community have a hard time coming to grips with the understandings and the definition of systemic racism. You feel me?
Right. So when it comes to, I want to touch on one thing, but I want to say one thing first. That when it comes to systemic racism, like my go-to, like my gotcha, I guess what you want to say, is, you know, when it comes to systemic racism, when they deny it, I'm like, okay, tell me about redlining. And boom, that simply that stops the conversation right there. So to hear that, you know, you going into depth about systemic racism, and it's such a struggle, and I know that it would be a struggle too if I was as committed to changing people's minds about the thing. But I think that it would be beneficial to see kind of, you know, I guess, what do I want to say? I want to say reverse engineer this, right? And start with the benefit. What is the benefit? Like, let's say hypothetically, I believe that there's only two genders. I don't believe in systemic racism. Uh, well, let's take gender first. What's the benefit to me finally awakening to this idea that gender is a social construct and that there might be more than one or more than two, rather?
Liberating yourself to some knowledge. Like we always say, knowledge is power, and this, that, and the other. And we gotta know, we gotta know, we gotta know. Most of us at a young age start to peep game about how people are able to have power over us based off of what they're able to hide from us, you know, or based off of what they lead us to believe, whether that's true or not. In my mind, when it comes to thinking about just social constructs in general, if you can recognize most of the ways in which we've been taught about gender is where we're trying to naturalize a normal, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to normalize something that we want to say is natural, but it's just like a systemic norm. It's like the benefit is being able to recognize humanity and being able to liberate yourself or having access to other forms of history. If you walk through the world and you only believe there are two genders, or you believe in the Western construct of gender, it's going to make it where you will lose out on experiences. You will lose out on knowledge, politically, socially, economically. You will also exclude human beings' experiences in existence because they do not confine to the way that society say that construct's supposed to go. And I think that that's literally the simple bit. I ain't even going this simple. It's like, hey, listen, if you believe this way, believing this way will result into you excluding all these people and excluding all of their history. Now, if you believe your quality to life and you don't think it reflects on your character at all, you being a sucker like that, well, damn it, you be a sucker in the land of lollipops. But if you believe that that's not good, then I probably think it's probably something you should work on.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So let's talk about what's the biggest thing people misunderstand. Like, why do you think people have such a hard time accepting the concept that, you know, I might identify as a gender other than what my sex might, you know, dictate?
Shit, colonialism. I feel like when you think about like colonialism, most of us don't think about it through like lens of racism. I think about it in terms of how different social norms got brought to the Western world and how the colonizer literally correlated sex with gender, and how we think about when the colonizer came to either Kibalan, Kemet, whatever you want to call Africa before it was this, or you want to talk about Turtle Island or the Americas, we know that the way that European settlers viewed sexuality and gender was also used to demonize indigenous peoples of the Americas is indigenous peoples of the Africas. You know what I'm saying? So I think that part of the intelligent design for how patriarchy works, it's like, yeah, whatever your genitalia is, it dictates what you should be attracted to. And if you deviate outside of that, it must mean you a heathen and you need a civilizer. So if I can identify people that have a social construct where they are able to acknowledge there are more than one gender, or acknowledge that what your genitalia is doesn't necessarily dictate your sexual desires, then I believe that show you that you need Jesus, and that I'm finna give you this Bible, and I'm finna give you some school. I'm finna do. I feel like that's just understanding history. And I say that to make a clear disclaimer. I am not saying that white supremacy corners the market on Christianity or the belief in, you feel me, a monotheistic God. I'm recognizing that Greco-Romans did, you know what I'm saying, colonize that idea, but I recognize that idea that is not originated with the Europeans. I am acknowledging, however, that Europeans used Christianity and the idea of Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and all the different ways that people are able to flip the Bible and that shit, is that idea was just used to justify. I'm in Oklahoma right now, creating the, you know what I'm saying, the goddamn Trail of Tears. Like, hey, look at these backwards ass Indians. Look at these savages. They literally said we can save the savage or kill the savage and save the man by just kidnapping their kids, cutting their hair, putting soap in their mouth, not letting them use a native tongue, and stopping them from doing this two-spirit gay shit. That's a part of colonialism. And when you go to Africa, it's like West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, there are multiple different tribes that practice variations of sexuality and gender that is not conformed to this idea of gender being binary or being like, hey, T, you got a penis, so you must like women, right? Nah,
Right.
like we can't make that. I feel like that comes from a particular idea, and it's taught in our schools, and it's put in our spirituality, it's put in our history books. So it's like, what you mean? The last thing I say to end this rant, so this is an important part right here. As a father to 2 kids, my kids watch a whole bunch of bullshit ass Netflix, Disney about romance, heterosexual shit. None of my black family members, none of my white friends, none of them holler about sexuality or sexuality being pushed on kids. Mm-hmm. When we think about a presence of one queer character, I'm talking about, nigga, it could be 20 characters, and one of them is queer. Oh man, they trying to push this on our kids. That's da, 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 da. To me, that's a part of the colonial, you know what I'm saying, programming that we only take, you know what I'm saying, at just a face value what we've been taught is the default. Anything outside of the default, we finna be bad and cry about. That's colonialism to me. It changed the default and made it where we buy into the social construct as being natural.
Mm-hmm. That's facts. And so what it does is it puts us in a box. It limits our perception. It limits our ability to imagine. And I think that our imagination is directly correlated with our ability to create, right? So if we're not creating anything new, then we're not evolving, we're not progressing. And if we're not growing, then we're dying, right? So I think that what we're talking about here is extremely important. Progression or death is the 2 options that we have. And I remember when I started becoming aware that a lot of these constructs are just that, constructs. They're made up, right? They're made up to make sure society runs a certain way and it's relevant to certain time periods. And as we move forward into the 20,000s, the 2020s, some of these things become less and less relevant. Like our school system, like the way we teach our kids was for them to go into factories in the industrial age. And now we're in the technology age, and these things need to evolve. So one of the things that helped open my eyes is when I realized that blue and pink, right, were marketing. It was all marketing. Like at some point in time, like blue did not mean for boys and pink did not mean for girls, but because they wanted to sell products, they started pushing this narrative that blue and pink, male and female, right? At that point, it was important for me to start questioning everything, right?
Shit, for me, if I say, man, when I feel like every time I learn something new, my homegirl I went to school with at OU, her name Mickey, she went to a little TV show where it's women proposing to men. You know, our society is like, I ain't getting on my knees proposing to no man. This, that. Swear to God, definitely. So she sent me this video of her being in the video. She sent me a video of her being in the shit. And she was like, once you know me, I'm a content creator. She sent it to me. I'm like, okay. And you really just made me think I had to do a video about this is because it's a social construct that say that men are supposed to get on their knee and propose, right? When I did the research, it literally goes to American marketing. Like getting on the knee is not biblical. It's not biblical. It's like literally when you look at the origin of America of putting the knee, it comes from film. It comes from silent film, like 1920s or some shit. They did it, you know what I'm saying, one time on the movie, and it's been done ever since. Now they use it to sell diamond rings and shit like that. It's like to me, it's show you the power of a social construct. Over time, we have agreed this is the only valid, legitimate way for a man to propose to a woman. And I say that purposely because nobody else better not be proposing to nobody else, no other way, but a man to a woman. That is a social construct we're taught about engagements.
Right.
I thought it was biblical, dog. I'm thinking it would have been, you know what I'm saying? I look at this, come on, man.
Like, and it goes even deeper, like the whole thing. We think it's religious, we think it has anything to do with God. That can be challenged. Even diamonds, like the value of diamonds, right? The bars, marketing. It's not even a rare stone. It's like one of the most common stones on earth, but they controlled the flow of diamonds, jacked up the price, and said that you needed to have a diamond to have a legitimate, proposal.
Yeah.
All marketing, all for
To me,
capitalism.
and too, I feel like that's something important to bridge the two things I'm talking about. When I talk about like gender and race, or you know what I'm saying, sexuality and ability, that's really all how you understand power. You feel me? If I can control the means of production and control the narrative around that production, I control everything of how that shit is valued, who can get it. You feel me? So if I can say, hey, this is what it means to be human, and everything outside of that is not, I can dictate the value of that human over there and that human over there. And we see now in terms of sports, it's like, hey, if I could control what it means to do women's sports, I can control who is a woman and I control who can do the women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
And we could apply this all the way around. Production and a narrative. Production and a narrative. Can I control the production of this shit? All right. What about the narrative of it? Because it don't matter if you can produce a whole bunch of this shit, you can control the narrative. I know a whole bunch of niggas producing a whole bunch of crack and dope and you feel me? Not for real, government, if you're watching this. I'm saying hypothetically now. I don't know nobody, you know what I'm saying? But hypothetically speaking, in urban areas, there are a lot of people producing illegal substances. They do not control the narrative around the production of these illegal substances, and therefore, they go to jail.
Right. Facts. Yes, indeed. And the government controlled the narrative, which is why it's illegal in the first place. I got a question for you, right? So, like, on in the way of moving forward, right? I don't have any kids yet, but I plan on having kids soon. And I've had this question about gender reveals, about, I've been looking at documentaries about people raising their kids genderless. And I wanted to know, like, if you could, I know that maybe you don't want to give advice to people in their personal lives and their personal decisions, but if you could, right, what would you say I should do around the gender of my kids? Should I allow them to decide what they are, like switch back and forth, or like, how should I do that? Should I dictate a gender onto my kids, or should I be more fluid as a parent, as somebody who is aware and agrees with gender fluidity?
Man, I'm answering in two ways, or two responses. The first response is I definitely would, if you're not going to therapy right now, I definitely would recommend going to therapy before you think about having to take care of any other person, thinking about your old school trauma. You feel me? From when we was in school, from when you was a kid, like really think about what that means for you to raise another human being, and about your trials, tribulations, stress, and trauma, what that means for, like, you know what I'm saying, for you to really be around somebody, For me, I think that you know what I'm saying, I feel like they're gonna hit your baby with the F or the M as soon as they come out the womb. My son, you feel me? I refer to him as Zane, and my daughter I refer to as Izzy. But when they try to play them gender games, like, you know what I'm saying, about like men and boys don't be able to do this, girls don't be able to do this, I feel like I'm very like straightforward, but like, nah, you can do whatever, nah, you can do that, you can do whatever you want to do, type shit. And then being real, I feel like I see it as if one of my kids told me like, hey, daddy, now you say I know this now, I said kids, I ain't say my son or my daughter. But if one of my kids come and told me like, hey, this is how I am, this is how I express myself, I want you to acknowledge me as this. Okay, like that's it for me. It's like I don't really put a lot of, you feel me? It's like shit, I want to just raise my kids to be strong and healthy and intelligent. And I think that, you feel me, regardless of their gender identity or what they attracted to, I feel like we good.
Right.
Like, we're gonna be good. So like, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how I answered it.
I'm sensing like a sense of be yourself, make sure that you're in a healed space, right? But I also noticed that gender neutral, saying terminology is helpful because it just creates the space for it to, you don't want to be the person that's like, oh, I have a son, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm not identifying him as male. Like,
I feel like I identify Zane as male, my son is male, but I don't put expectations on what that is. And it's just like, if you know what I'm saying, if Zane decides that they want to wear, high heels, they daddy probably gonna be the first person to buy them a pair of high heels, type shit. So it's just like, I'm gonna love my kids regardless of what they got going on and embrace them to be their best selves. So it's like, shit, like, what? You're gonna be the best or whatever you're gonna be. If you're my kid, you're gonna be the baddest.
Be the best at it.
You're gonna be the best thing smoking. That's really how it's really how I see it. You feel me? I'm a Southerner though. I'm a Southerner. I'm getting ready to move back home around my parents, around my family. I've been raising me and my wife been raising my kids in the college town. You feel me? That we've been at, my 4 and 5 year old. So I've been thinking about like really constantly what that means in different ways and different implications for me to be back around Southern Baptist, cisgender, patriarchal, misogynist teachings and people. And recognizing that, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to be reminded of the ways in which I have been, have not unlearned a lot of the shit that I thought I've unlearned. You see what I'm saying? And thinking about what that means for my kids, like how that's going to be pushed to my kids, how I think about whooping my kids. You know, nigga, I'm from down south. My people finna look at me crazy as hell when I tell them, man, I already look at me crazy as hell. Like, I don't whoop my kids. Feel me? If I hit my kids, I'm angry and I didn't mean to do it. I hit them out of frustration. I did not mean to do that. Like, I'm finna apologize. Like, I didn't want, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I know for my people, nigga, they finna look at me crazy. They finna, man, goddamn, Joy Lee went up there with the white folks, man. Turned that nigga on that white shit, man. Nigga, I know what time. I know it's finna come. You see what I'm saying? But it's like, shit, I gotta be my kid's best advocate. And I gotta make sure when my kids leave the house or inside the house where we at, they know mama and daddy got them regardless. So it's like, shit, that's how I see it. That fluidity, religion, nigga, whatever you think about it, you know what I'm saying? If my daughter say she wanna be the first NFL quarterback, nigga, guess what daddy finna do? We finna be the, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, that's just how I see it.
Thanks. I feel it. So it's time that, you know, I think that the message is spread, that the perspective becomes available for people that are open-minded enough to accept it. What is the next step for anybody, you know, listening right now, as far as getting in contact with you, collaborating with you, and pushing the narrative forward?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, TheConciously.com, GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com. Those are my websites where you can get in contact with me. I do workshops, facilitations, keynote speaking, curriculum development, curriculum design. I have a master's in human relations, a master's in adult higher education. I really enjoy putting those skills to work in terms of getting into the workspace or getting into the classroom. If you want to book me, that's where you can go to GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com with a Conscious Lee. I also have an online class right now about identity politics, and how, you know, race, class, gender, ability, sexuality, how those topics have come about, some key terms, a little history with those. I'm actually working on another online class right now that's also available on my, it will be available at my website, TheConciously.com or GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com, about social media and social issues. And then, you know, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm TheConciously on all social media platforms. And, you know, like I said, when you see my voice, I mean, when you see my face, when you hear my voice, it's just like, hey, education is elevation. Plug in. I'm gonna try to give you an upper division level college class about social issues where you ain't got to do a whole bunch. You feel me? Like something T Spice said really important. It's like, hey, I'm gonna try to give it to you in a way, no matter how complex it is, in a way where you don't feel like you have to go read 5 dissertations and 6 books to understand what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you gotta Google a word or two, but you feel me? Like in terms of the overall gist and the message, you're gonna always be able to get it regardless of where you at in terms of education. I believe that's a skill I was blessed with, you know what I'm saying, from the ancestors and God themselves. You feel me? And I feel like now I like to, you know what I'm saying, get that to other people. You know what I mean? Like share that gift that I have with other people. I come from a Baptist background, so I ain't, you know what I mean? So it's still in me, you know what I'm saying? So just like, just be that light in the world, you feel me? Try to, you know what I'm saying, be that light that I seek, you feel me? Be the change that I seek type shit. It's really what you're gonna get from me. What you see is what you get. And, you know, I don't do respectability politics. So when you do book, don't get me wrong, I can come in and give you a workshop facilitation for your coworkers that's not gonna be filled with profanity. However, I still need to be able to be unapologetic and goddamn straightforward. If I can't come in there and do it like that, don't even waste your time to hit me up. You know what I'm saying? I can be real with you on that one. Like, I'm gonna keep it funky. If you can't deal with the stank, then you might as well just stay over yonder ways, because it ain't for you.
That part, I feel it, and I love that too, because knowing who you for, a lot of knowing who you're for is knowing who you ain't for, right? And making it known who you ain't for, right? That's the sign of a valuable person, of valuable energy, somebody who's on a mission. That's super dope, bro. And I know that you're a wealth of information, and we could go on forever. But before I hold you up for 3 years, let me just ask you one more question, right?
Yeah.
My last question for you, consciously, is uh if there's anything that somebody listening right now could do to start living a little bit more by design and less by default, what would that piece of advice be?
Uh, Knowledge yourself. Really get on your knowledge yourself. You know, what makes you tick, what pisses you off, the history of you and your people. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? How do you deal with conflict? Really, just like the knowledge itself. And instead of living by default, you know what I'm saying, and living by design and really being purposeful in how you're doing it, I think that you really want to think about how you position in this world and think about who you are. I know that a lot of people attract me on social media because I know who I am. And when people don't like me, when people talk shit to me, when people tell me this, that, and the other, it's like most times I'm gonna always think about who I am and what I stand for. And it's something that nobody can ever take from me. And it's regardless of what position I get or don't get, regardless of what opportunity I get or don't get, regardless of, you feel me, any of that. I know who Conscious Lee is. I know who George Lee is. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the best thing you can do is really like have a not like, who are you? Who the hell are you? Like, what are you? Who are you? Politically, socially, economically, how do you identify yourself? How are you identified in those ways? Gender, race, class, like all that. Like, what's with you? And also your feelings and your emotions. Emotion, like who are you? Knowledge of self. Like, take it in any way you can take that, apply it, and run with it.
Facts. To the max, bro. That is gold. Thank you so much for tapping in. I want to piggyback a little bit because I know that there's some people out there that, it might be subconscious, not even conscious in their brain, but their brain goes, man, I know myself. Nah,
No, you
you
don't.
need to sit down and ask. I consciously gave you some really good questions. So literally sit down and ask. Some of y'all need to sit down with a pen and a paper, write these questions out, and actually write the answers out, because you don't know yourself until you've been alone with yourself. Thank you
But
so much.
it's to add to that too. Hold on. I want to make sure it's to add to that. Though I am so sure of who I am, I learn new things about myself every single day, and or I expose myself to an old trauma, memory, feeling, emotion that I thought I was over or thought I didn't have every day. Mm-hmm. So when I say you do not know, it applies to me as well. It's like I'm still applying every day. It's like, nigga, today is today, tomorrow is April 1st, April Fool's Day. My goal is to know myself more on April 1st than I did on March 31st.
Right. Yes, indeed. Through
day-to-day
experience.
I throw it out there because what you say, I want to make sure. Like, hold on, I don't want to make sure. Like, I still practice every day. Now
that's a fact. That's something for everybody. That's something for everybody. Thank you so much, bro, for tapping in with us, for sharing your expertise, for sharing your experience and your time with us today. And for everybody listening, as always, love, be well. Don't forget to have the guts to follow your guts. Peace.